A few weeks ago, we went camping for the first time as a family. It was a spontaneous decision, so all the packing was done in a rush. I was in charge of putting everything in the car, of arranging all the luggages and the tent and the camping gear in the car. We were getting ready to go. I was on the driver's seat. Aurélie was in the back, my partner. She was taking care of the baby. I was in the car seat. And on the passenger seat, since the car was so packed, we had the stroller. And as I start leaving the parking lot, Aurélie, she gets agitated. She's like, Mihai, Mihai, Mihai. The stroller, it's not in a good position. It's not in a safe position. It's blocking you from using the shifting stick. And then I immediately get defensive and I say like, oh, I wasn't going to drive like this. I was going to move it anyway. And this tension between us started. And it took me a while to understand why I had that reaction and why Aurélie was telling me what she was telling me. And of course, I was able to identify that there were two different stories that were happening in that place, in that moment. And this is what I want to talk about more today, is about what happens when we receive criticism from our partners and why that sometimes feels like kryptonite. It feels like it's affecting us, and it can trigger two reactions in us. It can either make us feel weak or it can make us feel defensive and angry. So I'll go back to the stroller story, and I'll share what are the two stories, right? Two different scenarios, two different stories that I identified that were playing out at the same time. So one of them was what Aurélie was trying to tell me. She was sharing that she felt unsafe. She felt like the family was unsafe, the car was unsafe, the stroller was moving. And for her, that moment, leaving the way we did, what it meant for her was that it's unsafe for me in this moment. So that's why she had this reaction. The second story that was playing out at the same time was what I made it mean. So what I made it mean in that moment, based on the words that Aurélie shared and what I understood out of them instantly, my reaction was that you are not competent, you don't know what you're doing, you cannot be trusted, you're not okay. So that was the story that I saw, the story that I understood, and I added that on top of what Aurélie was saying, and that clashed, right? What is beneficial for us is to be able to separate these two stories. When you receive that criticism, or what it can seem to you as criticism, right? You get curious, not furious. This is something that I learned from a parenting book, but this applies to this kind of scenarios as well. So when your partner says something or has a reaction towards you or towards something that you did, instead of instantly bringing your story and making it about yourself, you stay with her story and be curious and ask questions and see, okay, what is she actually trying to convey? So I'll give an example to drive this point home. We were in the car a few days later after I processed this whole experience for myself, and the situation was similar. I was driving, Aurélie was in the back with the baby. We were at the traffic light, I start driving, and then the car in front of me slows down unexpectedly, and I get a little bit closer to it. Nothing happened, we didn't crash or anything, and to me it didn't necessarily feel like it was a big safety concern, but Aurélie had a gasp. She was like, and I was able to react differently this time. So instead of making it about myself, instead of making it mean that I'm a bad driver, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm incompetent. I was able to stay with her story and to be curious. So I asked her, that scared you, right? That made you feel unsafe? And she said yes. And I said, okay, well, you see that we're safe, nothing happened, and I'm paying attention to the road. And that was the end of the story. There was no me bringing the extra story on top of it. And I was able to stay with what she was experiencing and what she was feeling. And that made it easier for all of us. So where I'm going with this is this idea of whenever there's something coming towards you from your partner that can be perceived as criticism, pay attention to the story that you tell yourself about it, to what do you make it mean, and try to keep that aside. And ask some questions instead. Get curious about what she's saying and why is she saying or having the reaction that she's having. And this way you can further peel some layers. You can understand, is it about me or is it about an experience that she has? Is it something that I can do better or is it something that she needs? And this is much easier to do, when you remove this story, when you remove the meaning that you give to what she's saying. And then eventually this will turn out to be maybe not criticism, but just some information passed in a form that you would have otherwise misinterpreted. So this is the way to turn what we perceive as criticism or as men's kryptonite into just regular communication. And the more you're able to do that, the more you're able to stay with her story and to be curious, the more you will able to have a stronger connection. Hope this helps.